Welcome to part 7 of replacing a head gasket in a 3.8-liter V6 fuel-injected engine in a 1996 Ford Thunderbird. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen, and we're at Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. And we're still continuing this saga of the engine car repair. So let's get started. Okay, at this point we replace the valve cover gasket. I like to squirt a little oil in there so my rods aren't totally dry. And I put the new gasket on, and now we just place it on there. And remember that piece of cardboard? We have the bolts that go in here. I have my deep socket, 8mm, so we can fasten those down. The rocker arm cover bolts are 7 to 9 foot-pounds. At this point, I'm going to put back the fuel rack, and we'll finagle it into place. My fuel rack is finangled back into place. Now we replace the bolts that hold it in. It's an 8mm. Okay, we're going to put this pipe back in. You know what? I'm going to spread a little oil on that to get that to slide in there a little easier. Now, this nut, which goes back on that, fastens that down. So, now at this point, we're just going to go ahead and plug in some hoses and plugs that we can plug in at this point. So there's a hose right there, and we'll take my pliers and install a hose clamp. The radiator hose. Okay. We'll go ahead and plug that in to there. That plugs into there. This plugs in down here. This plugs in right there. This plugs in. The other thing that comes on. Okay. Oh, we can plug this in right there. Okay. And we're going to attach this hose there. My regular screw-on hose clamp. Put that on. Okay, now I have a new one of these, so we're going to get that, and this goes right onto the bottom of this when it bolts onto the intake manifold. I think what I'll do now is try to install this bracket here. We got this great big old honking bolt right here. This goes on this one right here. Let's get it started with this one. Okay. And this bolt goes down in here. Let's see, I gotta use my reachy thingy to put it actually into place. Okay. Okay, oh. We gotta attach those nuts. And then go ahead and put those other bolts in. Okay, the bracket is all bolted in. Now we just have to put this back on. Just like this screw in here. And there we go. Okay. Take my 13mm and tighten that down, and take my 15mm, tighten that down. Almost there. Okay, we're going to go ahead and attach the hose, the serpentine belt. Okay. Make sure it's all in there. Yep. And the belt is attached. Make sure this plug is plugged back in. Okay. That's plugged back in. That plugs into the top of the distributor. That bolts on the top of the distributor. And this plugs in right up the groove. Plugs in right here to the air conditioner compressor. Now we're going to put this back into place, and this bolt goes right here. Okay, now we can put that hose on. Before I do anything else, I gotta do those nuts. This bracket fastens in right here. Okay, that bracket's on. Now, don't forget, we have this bracket and these plugs to put on the back here. Okay, now we tighten it up. And this bracket also holds that plug, so all I gotta do is plug it into push it into the hole that's in the bracket. And it's in. Oh, let's go ahead and hook up these hoses here. Okay, we put this breather hose on, and this, we'll just slide it right over there. There. Get it out of the way for right now. Because this end over there actually attaches to this main intake hose, and this connects right to there. But we want to put the intake manifold in first. So we're going to finagle this in there, and when we get it in, we will have it secure. Okay, I got my bolts in. Got that bolt, these 4 bolts, and this one back here. I'll put the gasket back on this thing, a new gasket on that, and it has 2 bolts in the back here that I had to put in, and this bolt right here, this nut, we put on top of that bolt right there to secure this. We attach the hoses that go underneath of it, and we reattach the plugs, reattach this hose, plug that back in, plug that back in, reattach this hose and that hose, and that little thingy-majig right there, a doohickey. I know what it's called, I just can't think of it right now. We plug that back in, we plug this back into the distributor, we plug this hose back in, we put this hose back on. This is all fastened down. We put these back into place and clipped them back in there and secured this bracket with that bolt right there. And we got the manifold on. It's all bolted and secure. The oil dipstick is secure to that where it needs to be secure to. And the only thing left to do is put those 2 nuts on the manifold down here. It's too dark under there for you, but I have to jack up the car for that. There is not one leftover part, but I can't start the car up until the battery's charged and I got new oil in there, because when I blew the head gasket, it mixed the water from the radiator in with the oil, so we got to clean that all out of there, and I got to refill the radiator. I want to thank you for joining me here at Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. Please come back again.